Hello again, it's Noob, and today we get to look at some more Grim Workshop lockpick and escape cards. Now, when I did my first review on some Grim Workshop tools, and this was being a fan of the Grim Workshop survival cards because they're just really cool. I really like them. My review wasn't favourable, and it was mostly because the quality of the cutting of the cards was very poor in the ones that I received, plus the lockpick profiles were bizarre. I mean, I will probably leave a link to that first video on my channel. Now, what's really cool about that is that sometime after the video was released, Grim Workshop reached out to me and said, look, we know that video wasn't very favourable. We did point out a number of flaws, and they acknowledged that. They said, can we send you some prototypes? These are not prototypes, these are the final thing, just to make that clear. And they sent a couple of the prototype new lockpick cards out to a bunch of people to get some feedback. I was able to provide some of that feedback. Now, these cards do not represent all of the feedback that I gave, but I can see where some of the feedback that I did give them was incorporated into the commercially released card set. So, whilst they might have made some changes which I said, hey, you should think about making these changes, other people may have also said that they should make those changes, and they certainly didn't incorporate all of the changes that I suggested, which is totally fair. I don't have any ties with Grim Workshop at all, other than the fact they sent me this kit for review. So what is this kit? Well, this is their SERE kit lockpick and escape set. And this is 4 cards. And that is too many to do justice to in one review. So I'm going to review the lockpick cards in this video and the more specialist cards in another video in a week or two's time. So do watch out for that. You also get some information about their company and subscription box and things like that. Also in the tin comes a lockpick and escape tips little pamphlet, which shows you how to explain some of the tools and how to use the door shim card. So some information there as well, which is cool. And they come in a nice little tin with a Grim Workshop sticker on the front. So let's briefly have a quick detailed look at the 4 cards before I concentrate on these 2 for now. And you can see here that you have some lockpicks here, and these are all rakes. You got some half diamonds and some single, double, triple, and quadruple and quintuple peaked rakes, and a city rake up here, which double up the top 2 as turning tools, which is cool. We also have a bunch of hooks and hybrids. So again, we've got some half diamonds, deforest picks, a medium hook, a short hook, and a very sort of like a deep hook, medium hook, and short hook, which is really cool. And you can see here that we have these two doubling up as top of the keyway / bottom of the keyway tools as well. And then the ones which I'll review next time, and these all come as a set, but they're all sold separately as well, is we have one with a whole bunch of sort of escape and evade tools here, most of which are explained by some etching there. Very cool. And lastly, we have a sort of a door bypass tool / Kevlar wrap / ruler. Struggling for what that was. A measure there as well, and a little saw at the top. So yeah, let's have a look at the lockpick cards in some detail. So I've taken the 2 cards we're going to review today out, and you can see that they, out of their plastic wrapper, they've got a little card which explains what's sort of inside it, and some links to their websites and all those kind of things. Then this is the sort of, I don't know, the unique selling point of a lot of the Grim Workshop tools is that once you take these tools out, they are on a piece of sort of sticky, I don't know, plastic. I don't know what this actually is, but once you remove these tools, and let's see if we can do that gently, you'll see that they are very, very sticky at the back. And you think, well, why is that good? Well, it's because you can take the tools off, put them back in, and there's probably only a certain amount of times you can do this before you have to replace that sticky backing, but you can just push them back in, and then that will slide back into your wallet. So once you've taken these tools out, they can go back in and be stored in your wallet as everyday carries. Of course, be careful if you're not allowed to carry lockpicking tools in your country or region. You don't want to get in any trouble. So let me take the lock picks out first. We'll have a look at them and see if we can pick some locks with them. Then we'll go on to the rakes and do exactly the same. So one thing I noticed taking these picks out, and they are little finger picks, is that there is very, very little room between the pick and the card. This is some precision cutting, and I really like that because the last cards I got were very wide cuts, and they left very little meat on the picks. You know, these are already quite difficult to use. Any finger picks, you know, these are credit card size. You have very little room for a handle, but to have therefore bad laser cutting, or I think it's laser cutting on this one anyway, just made it a whole lot worse. This is infinitely better. Honestly, go watch that first video, then have a look at these, and you'll see the vast difference between these two. And also, there's enough meat on these picks. I don't know what steel they're using, but already with the taper on the picks and enough sort of shank height, they feel like you can probably use them a couple of times without them deforming. They also have holes in, which is kind of cool. And that is good if you're going to maybe mount these onto some, I don't know, have a look here. Say you're going to put a couple of lollipop handles in and then put a pin through this, or even put these onto a keychain as well. You could put these on a keychain. The only thing is, if you put these picks on a keychain, which is possible, or put them on a ring, there isn't any holes in the tension tools here, which I don't know if that's good or bad really. I probably would have risked weakening these, just put a small hole in here just to make sure I could put all of these on a keychain at the end. But you can put these back into the card, so that is going to be their primary location once you've used them. So I think that's a reasonable compromise. So yeah, let's pick some locks. So first up, let's just try a Master Lock XL, pop in some tension. We're going to go bottom of the keyway, so it's got quite a nice wide open keyway on this one, so I'm going to try that. Just push that tool in, there we go. And it's a little harder to pick locks using finger picks like this, just because it's a different style of holding them and feedback and all the rest of it, but we will do our very best. Just going through this lock. A little click there. A little click there. Just going through, okay. I think we might even be picked. What's happening is that turning tool is a little bit hard in the bottom of the lock, so we've got the open. So what's happening there is that this is very sharp and it's just digging into the bottom of the lock. We've got the open, but these are quite wide. So in the next pick, I might try to use the top of the keyway tool and see if that fares a little bit better. Now these picks are quite thick at around 26 and a bit thousandths of an inch, or 0.7-ish millimeters thick, and they are laser cuts. They have some sharp edges, which you can't really tumble these when they're in a card, so I think that's to be expected. But picking a lock top of the keyway, using the top of the keyway tool, and say using this deforest half diamond to pick up the pins in a lock like this, makes it very, very hard to do, because you're rubbing against the warding in this lock at all times, and that's a little bit of a challenge, but we're going to try and pick this anyway. Just got to have very sort of good angle on your pick when you're picking. Try not to overset anything. hear those little clicks, that's a good sign. Another little click was a good sign. I think we're on pin 1 now. I think we're in a little bit of a false set. So we're just going to go back through the lock at the back and see where we get to. So pin 5. Good. Set. 4. Set. Okay. Back to the back. This is 6. See where else we get to. Pin 1. Very high set. Oh, and we got it. Pin 2 now. Very ginger. And we are open. Wow. That was hard to do. Just basically the pick was rubbing either side, but it was effective. It did work. I'm going to start out using this as a bit of a rake because, you know, it's a classic original sort of hybrid pick, the half diamond, and try to pick the pins that are remaining with the tip of that half diamond. I've got pin 1 here if I can get onto it. Pin 4 I can feel. 3, 2. Ooh. Can I get onto pin 1 at the front? Should be able to. Oh yes, we've got it. So we're in a very deep false set. So let's try and find who's holding us back. That was 3. 4's binding. 5-0 drops something at the front. Pin 2. Pin 1 now. Yep, back into that very deep false set. You can see how deep a false set we're in. We're so close now. We just need to find the last pin. It gives us some counter rotation. This is pin 3 now. And we've got the open. Look at that. So again, harder but possible. Now I've done some picking. Let's throw these back in and just see whether the picking has caused any deformations or anything like that in the tools, which means that they won't go in properly or store because, you know, they're bent or anything like that. Thought this would be a reasonable test. And they seem to be behaving pretty well. And where's the last one? Ah, here it is. Perfect. So yeah, all in all, they were quite usable. They're quite thick. I'll come up to some conclusions towards the end, but they are usable, and they do fit back in afterwards. So that's one good thing. Let's get onto the hook, the rakes. Sorry. So all of them removed. Now, so yeah, all of them removed. What's interesting about this is that they use the negative space in the card to add in some extra little micro picks. I think these are going to be really, really hard to use, even on a very, very poor lock, using your little fingertips. Let me just try something. Bottom of the keyway tension, a very easy lock. I'm going to try so hard to rake this using this little pick, and it is difficult just to get the pressure on the pins. I reckon I can do it though, because this is a Master Lock 3 and we should be able to get somewhere open, surely. So master lock 3, tension on, tiny micro pick, and we're going to try our hardest to pick this. It's going to be difficult, I think. I'll give it another go. I have that is really hard. I don't know whether it's picked and the thing's just digging into the lock body though. Doesn't appear to be picked fully yet. I'll try some top of the keyway instead and see if that helps. Might be able to get this. So we've got some bottom of the keyway tension. We've got our triple peak. We're going to try very hard to try and pick this. It's going to be difficult though, with no grip. Just yeah, that's going to be really hard. These micro picks, just at the tip of your fingers. I'm not saying it's impossible, but these are probably not meant for this purpose. What I think is probably more likely is if you get like a bit of a stick or something like this and some wire, and you're able just to lash your micro pick to a wire and just stick it on. It could be a coffee stirrer, a twig, I don't know, whatever you want to use. I split this one, but I still think that it won't matter in the long run as long as we can sort of lash this on here. Let's give that a go. Hold on. So top of the keyway, turn it in, just because it gives us better control, I think, and then pop this splint pick in and give it a rake. It's a lot easier to use, that's for sure. Oh, and we got the open. Yes, we got it. So I think that's what these are for, just like emergency little picks that you can add to a stick or a coffee stirrer or whatever you have to hand and make yourself a makeshift pick. This definitely works a lot better than just on its own. Got this nice wave rake, and I'm going to see whether I can pick this, or at least rake into a full set this Euro cylinder. Oh wow, look at that. That actually worked really well. And maybe use this 5-peat rake on this baton shutter lock using top of the keyway tension again. So let's give that a go. Oh yeah, I think we got it. I think we got it. Careful. Yeah, we did. Let's add these back in again and just see, after some picking and some practice attempts and things like that, whether these go back into the card. Obviously, like all metal, they will eventually deform over time, but you know, you want to get a few uses out of it, don't you, before that happens. So let's just try and pop these in. They seem to be going back in quite well. I mean, these are quite thick picks, so I would expect them to withstand, you know, a good bit of picking, and they seem to be going in really nicely, don't they? So that's a good sign as well. I think I'm missing a pick somewhere. Of course I need to go find that. Where is it? Got it. And there we are, both cards back in after some use. These were, let's cut to the chase, infinitely better to their first set. These lockpick profiles have clearly been designed by somebody who knows what lockpicking is about and what you need for a lock. Are they perfect? No. Are they pretty good for the price and what you'd expect? Yeah, I think so. So pros, cons, those kind of things. Pros, if you're in the US, obviously the postage is cheaper, but at the moment you buy these individual cards for about £17 or 20 to 21-ish US dollars, depending on when you watch this, the exchange rates and all the rest of it. And at the time of recording, although I cannot guarantee it's the same, This whole tin was on sale for £50, or around $61.55 again at time of filming, which was a reduction from about £71. So there might be a saving to make. I don't know. It depends on when I publish this video and where they still have the offer on. But that's the price of these cards. So I think that's a reasonable pro. In terms of the durability of the picks, they were much, much better than they were. And they are a bit thick. Okay, so that's like a moderate con at 26 and a bit thousandths of an inch. But they are a lot more durable because of it, and they are usable even if they do rob you of a little bit of feedback. Other pros are the profiles on nearly all of these picks are very, very good. And the shank heights are really good as well. They're not like super thick and chunky. You can use them. I like the integrated design of the turning tools. They've got top of the keyway and bottom of the keyway turning tools there. That does work out quite well. So yeah, it's quite a lot of positives for these cards as they stand. In terms of negatives, I don't think I'm going to use the usability thing, because any of these finger picks and any of the card sets are going to be harder to use. You know, these little micro picks which are in here to use up the dead space, why not have them? I mean, you might not use them, but they can be lashed to something to make a pick. So again, I'm not going to be talking about the general usability of the sides of these picks. They are an emergency, pick set. You expect that. But the downside of these being laser cut is they're really sharp edges, and straight out of the card they do tend to dig into the warding of the locks that you use. So that can be a little bit tough if you're a new picker. Something to bear in mind. If you do remove these, you could probably just sand the edges off a little bit to help with that. The other thing is, there's never enough turning tools in a lot of these cards, and these are quite wide. I think 2.5 to 3 millimeters, and some of my smaller locks, you will struggle to get the bottom of the keyway turner into the bottom of the lock for that reason. The top of the keyway turner is very good though, I found, so there is that. Any other negatives I found? Not really. This is a really good upgrade in terms of where the lockpicks used to be that they do and where they are now. It'd be nice to have a mixed one as well. So you have a mixture of some hooks and some rakes in one card for somebody who just wants like one card. But having two in your wallet really doesn't take up a huge amount of space. All in all, if you did want to carry two cards, again, beware of any legal implications of doing so. So yeah, I think this is a big turnaround for Grimm Workshop in terms of their lockpick cards. I'd really like to know your thoughts. Of course, I will look at the other cards in the next video, which are part of the full set. But again, you can buy them separately for that £17, 21-ish dollars price point as well. So, you know, this stands alone as a review of these individual cards as much as it does for the whole set. So yeah, I'm just trying to think, is there anything else I'd like to do in terms of improving these, so not just positives and negatives. I think I said at the beginning of the video, it'd be nice to have a little hole maybe in the turners. There's enough meat on these, you could put a small hole in. I don't think it would take away from the strength of these picks, and would allow you to just throw them on a keychain if you so wanted to. So yeah, I'd really like to know your thoughts on this so far. What do you think to these cards? Is it an improvement from last time? Would you buy them? What would you do differently? Do you like them? Do you not? Do you have them? Whatever you have to write about these cards, do put them in the comments below. I do read them all and reply to as many as I can. Bear in mind, we are going to look at these in the next video as well. So that is definitely worth tuning in for. This card in particular looks very cool, I have to say, with all its stuff on it. So we will give this a big try out. If you like this video, leave a like. If you haven't subscribed, now's a great time to do so, and I will see you next time for part 2.